Why is my goat so washed?
This is not the only city this is happening in. It's happening in California, it's happening in Oregon, it's happening in Illinois, and it's happening in Memphis. And niggas in Memphis, they might need it.
That was kind of funny.
And Bill Maher,
yeah. Anyway, we got Dave Chappelle. I didn't get to cover it. I saw bits and pieces of this comedy special. I couldn't finish it. It wasn't his best, I'll be honest. Ripping into Bill Maher, which I love, but I'm still conflicted because he's ripping into Bill Maher in an effort to defend himself, going and performing not only in Saudi Arabia, but performing under the direction of the Saudi kingdom. It is interesting, however, because on the one hand, Dave Chappelle has, developed a very different audience, right? Over the last decade, especially over the last, administration specifically, an audience full of, enjoyers of Ben Shapiro's commentary. And yet Dave Chappelle hasn't necessarily changed his perspective on white supremacy. Obviously not, right? So whenever he shits on people that MAGA loyalists absolutely love, like Charlie Kirk, they lose their minds. Let's take a look at what this take was, however, this anti-Israel take was.
Famous comedian. I've known Bill since I was like 18, 19 years old, and I've never said this publicly, but guy. These motherfuckers act like because I did a comedy festival in Saudi Arabia, I somehow betrayed my principles. Well, no, I know I didn't. I know. No. No, come on, everybody, let me do this. And I'm sure, I know, everybody calm down.
I don't get the controversy for doing a show in Saudi. There are Americans who do shows in the U.S. all the time without protesting the government in any form. The U.S. also does war crimes. I'm not a fan of Saudi, but this doesn't seem controversial. The reason why people consider it to be controversial, and I totally understand, is because the Saudi government itself has done a litany of war crimes, including aiding and abetting Israel in many instances. And also, this isn't just like, hanging out with Saudi people or going on your own to Saudi Arabia or doing a Hajj or something. This is quite literally working for the Saudi government. Okay, so there's a little bit of a difference there. It was paid for by the government. Now you might say, well, you can't necessarily tour in Saudi Arabia and perform in front of the Saudi population without the Saudi government allowing you to do so. And sure, there is that too. But I think it's a lot of people are excited about this because they saw Dave Chappelle say Israel. He has said similar things in the past. I had different criticisms, but I do think that bringing up Israel's war crimes when people are calling into question the Saudi association here, which is once again another ally of America and also Israel as well. It's a little ridiculous. Most people don't see that though. Most people don't know this connection. So of course they will either get excited at Dave doing the hypocrisy baiting and saying, or even bringing up Israel at all.
Now I'm sure I'm right. First of all, what did they say? They said, well, Saudi Arabia killed a journalist, and rest in peace, Jamal Khashoggi. I'm sorry that he got murdered.
It's such a liberal ass take for the guy who said that America deserved 9/11. Y'all are just way too woke and can't take a joke. He's probably way more left than anyone in this chat. Y'all are just brain broken. Yes, you're right. Dave Chappelle, the 100 millionaire whose stand-up special actually incorporated many of the real life takes that he had about affordable housing that he spiked in the town that he's purchasing in Ohio, is actually more woke than everybody else who are renters for the rest of their lives. You're so right about that. Like, look, man, Dave Chappelle was my GOAT, okay? I don't think you understand when I say Dave Chappelle was one of my GOATs, okay? One of the best. One of the best. It's not even about his politics, even though his politics are abhorrent, but I don't even care. Someone's politics could be repugnant and still be a good artist, for example, right? Or I might not agree with a lot of someone's politics, but can still admit when someone is funny or was funny at a certain point in their career or something like that, right? My frustration with Dave is that he's unk status. He's unk now. He is unfortunately very out of touch. And when you're very out of touch, you kind of lose the edge that made you a really good comedian to begin with. And now it's just like old man yells at the fucking cloud all the goddamn time. He's always in a defensive posture all the goddamn time. But it happens. It happens to everybody. It happens to everybody. Okay. And I say this as someone who, until the Saudi Arabia stuff, also still put, Bill Burr at GOAT status. I still think Bill Burr has a lot of redeeming qualities in general, but mostly it's because his comedy has stayed solid throughout the process. Okay. Didn't happen to George Carlin. Yeah. Because he died. I don't know what George Carlin would look like at this point. I mean, he would have been 120 years old or some shit, but like, it's just, there is like, he's lost his edge. He's lost his touch. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to fucking shove, you don't have to shove how much you love Dave Chappelle down my fucking throat. Okay. It happens when you become unimaginably wealthy, when you become, resistant to change, when you think like all matter of critique is just like personally attacking you and trying to destroy you, and you just hyper focus on that stuff instead of trying to find what's like funny about your current situation. It's your comedy's not gonna be that good. Dude, he's always been sexist, transphobic. Fuck, he ain't changed. Okay, sure, maybe he was always sexist and transphobic, but once again, that wasn't the primary focus in his comedy, right? And when it wasn't the primary focus of his comedy, his shit banged
in such a heinous fashion. And no buts, like, period. And also, I mean, look, bro.
Okay.
Israel's killed 204.
Do you really care about this stuff with Dave Chappelle? Yeah, I do, because I really like Dave Chappelle. I like, he's nowhere near in the same fucking wavelength as Joe Rogan, though.
40 journalists in the last 3 months. So I didn't know y'all was still counting. The fear that I have for myself, that I need you to protect me from, is co-option. My voice has become more powerful than I intended it to be. And I cannot let these do me like Charlie Kirk.
Anyway, yeah, there was some good. The Charlie Kirk stuff was a decent take, but even then, it's like there's funnier shit that you can say about Charlie Kirk, in my opinion. So he doesn't even go hard enough with Charlie Kirk. But as far as like the Israel stuff goes, like he just uses fucking Israel killing Palestinians as a counter here to simply to say like, oh, why are you acting like you care about Jamal Khashoggi being killed by the Saudi government when Israel is killed hundreds of Palestinians? Like, fuck you, Bill Maher. And I agree, fuck you, Bill Maher, right? Like, I totally agree with that. And I even understand what he means about like, none of these people giving a shit. None of these people giving a shit about Israel doing more heinous crimes than Saudi Arabia, for sure. It's just like, when he's the one saying it, when he's talking about, when he's bringing that up, it's crazy because he's like, entertaining, doing a sponsored segment with the Saudi government, which is attached to Israel at the fucking hip,
That I need you to protect me from is co-option. My voice has become more powerful than I intended it to be. And I cannot let these do me like Charlie Kirk, or even worse than that. What if these trip me up somehow, co-opt me, and then make me say the things that they want me to say? Well, we can't have that. So, just in case, we need a code. It's got to be something that I can say so that if I say it, you know that these got me. And don't listen to nothing that I say after I say those words. But don't tell anybody what it is, but it's got to be something that, that I would never say. Oh, I know what the code is. The code word is, I stand with Israel. Thank you very much, and good night.
Anyway, so he shit on
Israel. And the whites were quick to say this. They said, Charlie Kirk is this generation's Martin Luther King.
This one really pissed off a lot of Dave's new fans who came on board when he was like dunking on trans people and stuff. But they really hated this.
No, he's not. Yeah, that's a
What was really great about this comedy special was the timing of it about Jack Johnson, the Mann Act, and the parallels today with Jake Paul, AJ, Diddy being tried by the man, and his point of how internet figures are not as relevant as real figures. Yeah, I mean, the Jack Johnson stuff is like classic Dave Chappelle, especially new Dave Chappelle. Back in the day, I don't think he would go on to like these longer pivots in the second half. Obviously, Jack Johnson is that's classic Dave Chappelle, especially since the last couple of comedy specials he's done. That one's pretty good. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is the other stuff that's in the buildup, you know, where he's just like he unnecessarily slams so much like I wouldn't even say hack material, because like at least the trans joke that he was trying to make this time was at least structured like a joke. He wasn't just saying, you know, trans people are weird and gross. At least he tried to make a joke on that one. That one is more so like it's not a very good joke, really. And obviously it's understandable if people are if people are in any way, shape, or form sympathetic to trans people, like they'll get mad about it. The thing that I thought was like so stupid about the way that the joke was structured is like, because it still went back to like, oh, the real cancel culture is happening here in America. Like y'all say you can't say whatever the fuck you want in Saudi Arabia, but you can say whatever the fuck you want in Saudi Arabia about trans people. And I can't say anything about trans people in America because the alphabet mafia will come after me. And it's like, motherfucker, first of all, you got a million Netflix specials, okay? Like there's no comparison here. and it's kind of funny because like at the same time, it's just like it would be akin to me saying like, well, you know, China has no free speech restrictions whatsoever. Yeah, maybe for me if I'm going to be pro-China, but you know, there is obviously going to be free speech restrictions in China, something that I also personally recognize, something that I also talk about, right? Like it's just dumb to claim that that's not the case, because yeah, of course Saudi Arabia has a lot more restrictions on speech than America does, and so does China.
Reach. You know, they both got murdered in a terrible fashion. They both got shot in the neck, but that's about where those similarities end.
Were his initial jokes actually that bad? I feel like Hasana's exaggerating again. Wait, what? I'm not exaggerating. I'm just giving you my fucking take. I'm giving you my analysis as someone who is a comedy enjoyer, comedy appreciator, someone who respected Dave Chappelle as like one of the best comedians of this generation. Like that's all I'm saying.
Because Charlie Kirk is a motherfucking internet personality. No, by design. Fundamentally, he can't function like Dr. King. Internet niggas are negative because they have to be. Because nobody will engage them unless they say shit that makes them upset. That's Charlie Kirk. Could you imagine Dr. King was behaving like Charlie Kirk? Smash that like button and subscribe. Follow me for more content like this. I believe all black people should be free. Change my mind. When this nigga Trump and Elon made this Doge thing, the housing market.
I guess he's also no longer homies with Elon, because one of the most disappointing moments in Dave Chappelle's career, from my estimation, was when he brought Elon Musk on stage in San Francisco and everyone was booing him. And he was just like, hey, stop booing my friend, the billionaire Elon Musk. What the hell is going on? I thought that was crazy. I thought that was fucking crazy, brother. Like that was a wild moment. A lot of people forgot about that shit. That was also such a devastating moment for Elon Musk that he almost killed himself, apparently. That was what was reported at the time. And then he had to cope and act as though all these people fucking hate, all these people that hated Elon were all the woke lords in San Francisco, except they were woke lords that were, I guess, attending the Dave Chappelle show. Yeah, here it is. But I guess he doesn't fuck with Elon no more, so that's cool.
I don't want to hurt you. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for the richest man in the world.
Yeah, Elon doing that goofy ass like, "Ugh." Remember when he tried to do like the crowd analysis and tried to claim that it was actually 53% cheers and only the remaining were booing, but the booers were booing a little bit harder. I legalized comedy. Everyone was of course cheering me on. For somebody that doesn't grift, I'm surprised you don't get a bit more fired up at people like Dave so blatantly grifting. What? I mean, I think he's boomer. I think he's a boomer with like a bunch of reactionary points of view, and he is fried from what he perceives as like cancel culture. And on top of that, he is very out of touch because he's super fucking wealthy. This is one of those examples I'm showing you right now. He's far too isolated at this point from the average person to do comedy that reflects the conditions of the average person. You know what I mean? So yeah, and part of that is literally him talking about how he owns most of the town. Look,
Man, because, you know, to be fair, I did make more money than all of those comedians. I don't even work at Netflix no more. You know what my new job is? I sit by the phone and wait for them Arabs to call me. Can I help you guys? What do you need? I did a show 3 months before that. I was not.
Yeah, this is a falcon and a transgender in Saudi Arabia. I'm not even gonna go through it. It's once again about like, oh, they just don't care about trans people. Okay, got it. You know.
I act like
Dave Chappelle knows how to push the limit. He really is unstoppable.
I've been to cane parties. I've been to weed parties. I've been all.
There was also a Diddy. He also did low-key defend Diddy. Not even low-key. High Kirk defended Diddy. Well, I mean, he didn't fully defend Diddy. Let's be real. He made a funny joke about Diddy where, he basically talked about how Diddy saved his life when that one crazy person tried to kill him with a knife, and that's it.
All the parties, and I'm just telling you the truth, what I've seen. Coke bitches are way prettier than weed bitches are. I be looking at weed bitches like, damn, did you sleep in those clothes? The fuck's going on with you? No energy in their face. They don't wear their bra all the time, so the titties be sagging. Get your dick out of my face, man. That's how weed girl sounds. Not gonna suck your man. You ever get some weed head? Feels gross, doesn't it? Feels like a cat sucking your dick. Like, what kind of... How do you not have any moisture in your mouth? Go wet your whistle and try again, would you? Drink some water. The town that I've been living in for the last 25 years, I bought most of it. All the whites are poor out there, but these are like the dirty hippie whites, and I like them. I like these whites, and they like me too. But you know what I learned about liberal white people? Liberal white people let black people do whatever they want until you buy most of their town. Oh, they frowned on that. Them whites got real suspicious, but you know what? I don't blame them. If I was white and the people in this town were black, you know what they'd say? They would say I was gentrifying the town. But there's no word for what I'm doing to these people. I own everything. Everything. I used to be mad at white people when I was young because I thought they were unfair. But now that I have all this property, I understand them. It's fun.
Like this stuff, in my opinion, this stuff isn't necessarily dated, but it shows that he's lost the edge because like you're appealing to an increasingly smaller audience. You know what I mean? I mean, it's still funny. This stuff is still funny. But I feel like I think the he bought the town, all this stuff is still funny as a joke. Like it works as a joke. It works as like if you think about it from the perspective of just like if you think about it from the perspective of like going against white supremacy or white supremacist systems, like there is definitely still a joke in there. It's just that I think if he was younger and wasn't as wealthy as he is, he would probably be making different jokes about the overall conditions. You know, like I understand what the joke is, but yeah, there is not a lot of relatability with it because it's just it's once again about black capitalism defeating white supremacy as opposed to being structured around defeating white supremacy in its entirety or anything like that.
Feels good to walk up to white people like, are you supposed to be here? Calling the police. You know what they did? This is some real racist shit. They tried to sell the old fire station at an auction when they knew I was going to be out of town. up. But it's far too late for that. I got that whole town rigged with snitches. Them niggas couldn't wait to tell me. They was running up, my lord, I have news, my lord. I was like, what's going on? Is this, you say, a firehouse?
Ultimately, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was it wasn't his best work, you know? And it's not because of, before people go, oh, it's just because he's transphobic, is that why you can't, stupid libtard, can't even say you didn't like a joke because it's like offending trans people? Like, no, the reversal of that position shows what your interests are, which is, oh, my favorite comedian agrees with me. That's it. That's not my criticism here. From a specifically comedy critique perspective, I think he's just gotten old and super rich, and therefore is incapable of crafting jokes that are relatable in general.
And my hometown plunged 20%. And then when this nigga deployed the National Guard in my hometown and took the police department from the mayor. Oh, DC niggas, we don't like that. Because these niggas is trying to take the chocolate out of Chocolate City. I said, I gotta go home while it's still a city I remember. And then I went on Instagram and saw all the protests in DC. And there was a bunch of white people like, not on our streets. I said, oh no, it's too late. These whites are entrenched. Not on our goddamn streets, you don't. This is not the only city this is happening in. It's happening in California. It's happening in Oregon. It's happening in Illinois. And it's happening in Memphis. And niggas in Memphis, they might need it. You gotta
That was kind of funny.
be reasonable. I don't know if you've been to Memphis recently, but them niggas already stole 2 tanks from the National Guard, so you already know. These niggas clown me because I was on stage in Saudi Arabia. I didn't tell them to put this in the paper. I just said it on stage. I said, it's easier to talk in Saudi Arabia for me than it is in America. And just felt some kind of way. Oh, I stand 10 toes on that. Don't forget what I just went through. 2 years ago, I almost got canceled right here in the United States.
Yeah, like the can sure.
For transgender jokes. But I gotta tell you something. Transgender jokes went over very well in Saudi Arabia. Them niggas couldn't get enough of that shit. I was in the pocket. I was like, where have you been? Every article said the comedians hoard themselves out to a dictator, but all the articles have my picture on it. You know what? I can't even get...
Yeah, cancel culture stuff is just poison for comics, in my opinion. Like it's just like it's just such hack material, you know? That's it. Bro, you're insanely wealthy, you're insanely successful. I can't believe you're still talking about cancel culture. Like, how are we still doing this? Why is my goat so washed?
Technically, it was 90% cheers, 10% booze, except during quiet periods. But still, that's a lot of booze, which is a first for me in real life, frequent on Twitter. It's almost as if I've offended San Francisco's unhinged leftists, but nah, which is literally the most in copium. Dude, this level of copium is nuclear grade, okay? This level of copium, this is an event that changes the course of history type explosive copium. Oh, yeah, they were booing me, but only 10%. This would break a Geiger counter. Yeah, this would be so high on the scale of copium that the Geiger counter would not be able to, it would loop back around and then be like, oh, it's 3.58 Röntgen. Not good, not bad. You know, that kind of thing. I mean, how the dude, there is nothing better. There's nothing better than an immediate reaction from a crowd just being like, you suck, dude. You suck ass. You. Nobody cares. Yourself. That's precisely what happened here.